Good morning from day 2 of the Electric FSGP 2024. We are here live streaming from the infield of NCM Motorsports Park. We are set up just at corner 19, which has a feature here on the track known as the Sinkhole. Last night we talked to a number of the drivers, and they're telling us after they got over the maybe a little bit of nerves the first few times around, this is their favorite part of the track. So we figured we'd come out here and show you what that's all about. So we just saw Poly Montreal and Iowa State through the sinkhole, and we have a few more cars coming around the corner here. So this feature, I don't know the exact elevation drop, but you can see as the cars come for your right, they have quite the steep drop as they enter, and then an uphill climb out to the left. So even the cars that are going a little bit slower get a good amount of speed here. So we have Ohio State and the University of Florida car coming through behind them, and so they're heading down the hill and up to the left. At Formula Sun Grand Prix, we have zones of the track we designate as no passing zones, where cars are not allowed to pass each other for safety reasons, and this sinkhole is one of them. So the cars should not pass each other as they're going down this hill and making the turn, and the no passing zone ends on the exit as they turn up to the left. If a car gets stuck, they can't make it up to the hill, then obviously you can pass that car, but as long as the cars in front of you are moving, wait till you finish the feature before passing, and that's for safety of all the solar car drivers here. So in a minute here we will see Calsol, car number 6, coming through. Calsol got out on the track this morning. They finished up all their dynamics testing yesterday. We have a few new cars out on the track today, as well as a few cars we are expecting to see today. There's a couple of cars who have a few checks left after dynamics, and a couple of cars who dynamics is staying open for to pass one more driver or one more test, and then that will be it today on the track. So we're hoping to see MIT, Illinois, and Stanford get out here. I have heard that Waterloo just got cleared for the track, so we should see their car out here soon, hopefully. So now we've got the Illinois State car coming down the sinkhole, and after they pass through, I will show you a map of the track so you can see exactly where we are. So here on NCM Motorsports Park, we are running the full 3.15 mile grand full course. Corner 19 is on the inside of the loop around at the top. So that is what you're looking at. You can see at the top of your screen, when we're showing the video, you'll see the back side of the track, and we're on the inside of that loop up at the top. So we have solar cars all around us, and we'll give you some panning view a little bit later in the stream. So we have a few more cars coming up in the sinkhole here, and we are going to get you some drone footage of this momentarily. So we have the Florida Poly car, number 79, and they'll be followed by the MOV number 35 from the University of Minnesota. And next through the sinkhole will be Principia College, number 32. You might be able to hear a little bit of honking in the distance. That is Minnesota passing Florida Poly as they exited 8, who's quite a far ahead in the laps and person miles at this point. So let's switch you over to the live drone view, and here is Principia College exiting the sinkhole. So you can see this climb up. Even for the faster cars, they go a little bit slow. Solar cars don't like to power through the uphills. It's not the most efficient way to be driving, so they'll get some acceleration here on their way out, and following the sinkhole, they get onto the front straight. So back over in the view of the sinkhole, we have the Texas A&M car passing through, and I think we have some more cars coming on the back side momentarily. We are just waiting on a couple of cars to make their way around. I think they may be bunched up on the other side of the track. So last night we had a bit of a storm system roll through here, quite a bit of rain, and evening charging was a wash for a lot of teams. It wasn't yet raining at that time, but there was very little sun. So a number of teams, actually most of the teams this morning, stayed to charge extra before they headed out on the track. So we only had 2 teams actually start right at 9 a.m., but a number of other cars were back on the track a few minutes later. All right, so here we have both Poly Montreal and Iowa State. Iowa State's the number 9 car on the back, and Poly Montreal, number 55, up in the front. And they're approaching the far back corner of the track, and they'll turn around here into the sinkhole on your right. Here they come entering down into the sinkhole. You could see that downhill, and then the left hill banked climb up out of the sinkhole. And following the sinkhole, there's a couple of turns here they go through, and the next turn for Poly Montreal in the front there will be onto the front straight, which is what we were showing you during our streams yesterday. So we're going to stick with these 2 cars, following them up the front straight as long as we can, as long as they stay in our drone range. They're making their way past the pits here in the Kimberly Fast Pavilion, which is where we hold all of our drivers and team meetings. And there we have Poly Montreal crossing the timing line, and Iowa State will be shortly behind them. So I think we're following in here on another MOV here. Yep, it appears to be number 35, Minnesota. So we are getting in here behind them if we can catch up to them, which I think we can go as fast as they're going. So this is the furthest point on the back corner of the track that Minnesota's at right now. They're coming through turn 17 right here. We'll go through turn 18 next, and then turn 19, which is where we are located, is the entrance to the sinkhole. You can see the track has a number of configurations here. So in some configurations they can cut out the sinkhole, they can extend the front straight, but we are using the full length. So we're going to switch back here to our view of the sinkhole. We have a few cars coming around. The cars seem to be fairly bunched up, so we're getting them in spurts here. Here comes number 828, App State. They appear to also have both passengers in. I saw them roll out this morning. They actually had their passenger in there with his laptop, and he was, I believe, monitoring how the car was doing right there from inside the car. Sometimes we see these passengers looking a little bit bored in the car. They are essentially just wait. They have no tasks other than that. The driver handles everything else. Here we have Ohio State coming through. If you remember from the last lap, Texas A&M was just behind them, but Texas A&M has gone into the pit. The pit lane entrance is just before the sinkhole here, so I think that makes sense. In case you have any issues, you don't have to go through the most challenging part of the track just to get back to the pit. Florida Poly has also entered the pit here, so we won't see them right now. Hopefully they make it back out soon. I think we're about at the point where these teams are going to be doing driver swaps. In addition, I think for teams going to the American Solar Challenge, they not only have to qualify their car with a number of laps, but they have to qualify each driver with a number of laps. So they have to make sure and rotate through drivers here at Formula Sun. So here goes number 32, Principia, down through the sinkhole. And speaking of qualifying for the American Solar Challenge, up on screen we have the requirements. 1 day 66 laps, 2 consecutives 98 laps, and then drivers 17 laps each. So yesterday 3 teams qualified. That would be in the SOV class, ETS, and in the MOV class, App State. Principia also did enough laps to qualify, but as far as I'm aware, they're not planning to continue to the American Solar Challenge at this time. So coming up next, we have these 2 MOVs. They seem to pretty much be following each other around the track. I think they're both happy with the pace they're at, and so no need to execute a pass. So here comes Poly Montreal and Iowa State behind them. For those of you who just joined us, we did get started a little bit early. We had a lot of cars on the track, and our setup was ready. Everything was pretty quick to get set up and working reliably, so we decided to get started. So feel free to scroll back and take a look at some of the drone footage we were able to get following some cars. We are set up here at turn 19 at NCM Motorsports Park, and this turn is home of the sinkhole feature. Last night, you can find on our Instagram a couple of chats we had with some drivers during evening charging, and one consistent theme from all of them was how much they enjoyed the sinkhole. A couple of them, a few nerves going through the first time. It's definitely the most challenging feature on this track, and the most challenging feature we've had at a Solar Kart event in several years. Probably since the turn 1 climb at Circuit of the, it's their favorite part of the track. So we are bringing you out here to see what they're experiencing as close as we can get you to it. So we just saw the University of Florida, car number 5 there, and ahead of them was car number 6, University of California, Berkeley. Berkeley just got onto the track this morning, wrapping up dynamics yesterday. Florida spent a while on the track yesterday, and then they had some issues and head back to their garage for the afternoon. But good to see them back on the track racking up miles today so that they can get qualified for the American Solar Challenge. Okay, so now we've got the Illinois State number 17 car going through. I know we just saw a handful of cars heading to the pit, so hopefully we got a good number of cars coming around. Looking back, I can see App State and appears to be Principia heading our way shortly. We're going to switch views here to the entrance of the sinkhole here as teams come around turn 18. Turn 18 is a relatively tight turn here. It's also the home of pit entry and where the no passing zone starts, right around where the University of Virginia is right now. And so it's a relatively slow part of the track, followed immediately by this pretty steep downhill where the cars can pick up some speed. So that's the 87 University of Virginia car. And next up we have App State coming around turn 18. This is, I believe, the 4th American Solar Challenge that App State will be bringing this car called Rose to. They've had good success with this car, and they made a number of reliability upgrades this year, I'm told, so they're hoping for a good result. Car has performed fairly consistently, and for them, some podium finishes over the past couple of years. Everybody off the track. Okay, now we have a good number of cars coming around here, all bunched up here. I can see at least 5 cars coming, so just around the corner. See if you get a view of both the entrance and the exit here. So there we have Poly Montreal heading through, as well as Iowa State behind them. And next up is number 6 Calsol, followed immediately by number 32 Principia and number 92 ETS. Ah, and one more car, number 5 Florida right behind them. So we got a big bunch here on the track. Looks like ETS is going to pass Principia on their way out here. But Calsol is leading the pack there pretty fast, trying to keep up with those MOVs, but ETS is gaining on them now. In the top right, you can kind of see the entrance here on turn 18 coming into the sinkhole. And we have number 614 Ohio State coming through. So off to the very far left of your screen, you can see our corner worker and the corner worker stand. This track has quite a few corner worker stands, more than some that we've been at recently. Corner workers are volunteers from the teams. Occasionally, also some staff will take some shifts, or we can get volunteers from family and friends or other supporters who want a unique vantage point of the track. We run our corner workers through a short bit of training before their 2-hour shift. And we aren't staffing all of the corners here, but we are staffing quite a few of them. And these corners workers all have flags they use as we're watching the Illinois State car come through the sinkhole. And these flags are used to indicate a number of things and conditions on the track and make sure that the solar cars are aware of any hazards that may be coming up. So they have 3 color flags at every station. We have a red flag. A red flag is the worst scenario. Something serious happens on the track, and all solar cars should pull to the side and stop where they are. A yellow flag waving can indicate that there's an active hazard on the track. Maybe there's been an issue with a car. Some car had a problem, and they are actually still on the track. There may be people on the track helping get that car off the track. So that means no passing, slow down until you pass the hazard. And then we also have a blue flag, which indicates that there is a hazard near the track, but not necessarily on the track. So if a car broke down and got pushed off the track, that would be a hazard that you just need to slow down for and be aware of, but it's not actively on the track. We had a active yellow this morning as well for debris on the track. We had some storms last night, and some stuff has blown onto the track in the wind here, and so that's just to let the solar car drivers again know that, hey, there's something on the track that you should pay attention for. So next up we have Florida Polytechnic University, number 79, coming through here. All right, we've got this pack of car making their way back around. The University of California, Berkeley, car number 6 coming onto your screen seems to have passed the MOVs in front of them. So they are doing some fast laps here. We have Poly Montreal has entered the pit, so the next car you're going to see is number 9, Iowa State, followed by number 5, the University of Florida. Coming around the corner here is number 92, ETS. And behind them we have number 87, Virginia Tech. They are coming onto your screen shortly here. I'm going to pick up some speed and make sure they can make it out of the sinkhole. We have had cars get stuck in the sinkhole. They get not enough speed on the way down, on the way in, and not enough power on the way out. It is a little bit steep as they make that turn. Number 32, Principia College, is making their array around here. Seem to have spaced out from the group a little bit. Sometimes that can be a deliberate decision to gain yourself the space to regulate the speed as you like and not have to worry about the cars around you as much. Driving in traffic isn't always great for this competition, where you're just trying to get the laps. You want to go a consistent speed and not worry about teams passing you, passing other teams. So a lot of times you will see teams try to find their space on the track and just drive their laps in solitude. All right, so we have Principia coming around here, number 32, and back on the track it looks like behind them is number 12, Texas A&M. So here comes the number 12 car. So we put back up on the top right of your screen our second view here, and that is from the back side of the sinkhole here. So we are stationed with track on 3 sides of us. So we're going to try and track the cars as they come through the sinkhole, climb out of it, and then they got a few small turns on their way up to the front straight. So we got another group of cars here. Number 17, Illinois State will be the first one, and they are followed by 2 of our multi-occupant vehicles. First is number 35, Minnesota, coming onto your screen, and then we have number 828, App State. All right, we have one car coming around here. That'll be number 614, Buckeye Solar Racing from the Ohio State University. This is their first competition back in quite a few years. And coming around the backside is, looks like Florida Poly will be the next team through the sinkhole. It'll be a little bit of a second before you see Ohio State on the backside. They're having a little bit of trouble climbing out of the sinkhole, but it looks like they're going to make it here. There they go, coming out from behind the guardrail. And here comes Florida Poly entering on the front side. All right, we got a couple of teams coming through the sinkhole. We have number 5, followed really closely by number 6, Berkeley. I think their driver realized just a little bit late that they're actually in a no passing zone, so they slowed down and waited. And now we have number 9, Iowa State. And number 92, ETS. So I see in the live chat a question about teams whose first competition this is. Trying to go off the top of my head on which teams that is. We have a number of teams that have been on hiatus for a while who are back for the first time, in addition to a few brand new teams. One team I know is brand new for sure, who is on the track right now, is Florida Poly. This is their first ever race. Earlier today we had Purdue back on the track, and they were also on the track shortly yesterday. This is their first Formula Sun or American Solar Challenge since 2003, I believe. Buckeye Solar Racing was back last year for the first time in at least a decade. So there's been a revival at their team. And Texas A&M is not a new team, but they're back for the first competition in quite a few years this year. If anybody else has any questions while we're out here waiting for the cars to come by, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. We are sitting in the infield of the track, so I don't have a good way to go get answers to some questions, but if I know the answers, I will certainly give them for you. In terms of other new teams, this year we have Stanford here. They are not a new solar car team. They've been competing the whole time, but this is the first time they've been back to a Formula Sun or American Solar Challenge, also in at least a decade. All right, so now we have this line of cars back through here. Poly Montreal is back on the track, number 55, followed by App State, number 828. And just in a moment, you are going to see number 35, Minnesota. So that is 3 of our 4 MOV teams. We have our day 1 score updates on our website for the MOV class. These are taken at the end of the race day, so it doesn't include any charging they did overnight last night from the wall. I don't know if any teams did. I would guess yes, given the weather. So that information will make it into the scoring formula tonight. So that's number 17, Illinois State, crossing. We got 2 more cars right behind them, number 32, Principia, and number 12, Texas A&M. Other new teams this year, we have team number 406, Montana State. They were out at Dynamics yesterday, last I saw. We also have Kennesaw State, and we have University of the Pacific as new teams. This is their first competition, and they're still working through inspections at this time. We got 1 more car coming around the corner here in this group, a little bit behind the rest of the cars. Doing pretty consistent lap times here is the University of Virginia car. They are a relatively new team, but this is, I believe, the 2nd or 3rd competition they've done with this car. So they've been a couple of years now. We also have some teams who have recently switched classes to build a different kind of car. So that can lead to a lot of challenges. Similar to starting a new team is learning how to build a new kind of car. So entering the multi-occupant vehicle class for the first time this year were MIT and Georgia Tech. They both had been building single-occupant vehicles. MIT actually won the last 2 American Solar Challenges in the single-occupant vehicle class. That's the University of Florida car heading through the sinkhole on your screen. So MIT was out at Dynamics yesterday. I'm not sure of their status. They may still be working on that right now. But they built a 2-seater for this competition, and Georgia Tech built our sole 4-seater for this competition. We also have the University of Waterloo back here. They did a switch the other direction, so their last car was a multi-occupant vehicle, and they decided to switch back to the single-occupant class this year, which is what they had been doing prior to, I believe, 2018. Here comes the number 6 University of California Berkeley car. And I see a couple more cars coming around the backside at turn 17 and 18. So we've got number 92 ETS. Oh, they're actually going to head to the pit, so we won't quite see them. And we'll see if we see Iowa State. So ETS yesterday did the required 66 laps to qualify for the American Solar Challenge, and they, from my understanding, also qualified all of their drivers for the competition. So they are fully qualified, and so now they're just out here racking up laps, trying to maintain their lead to win the Formula Sun Grand Prix. So that was Iowa State you just saw, and we have 2 more cars coming around the backside here. Actually, I have 3 more cars coming around the back here. So first will be number 614 Ohio State, followed closely by number 79 Florida Polytechnic. They're spacing out a little bit here to give them some space through the sinkhole. And then next up is number 55 Poly Montreal. They are doing some pretty fast laps here. They seem to have lost some of their competitors behind them gaining some space here. And they are trying to catch up to App State on the lap count here. After yesterday, App State was leading the MOV class. They had by far the most miles and the most person miles. So that goes into the equation for the scoring formula for Formula Sun Grand Prix for the multi-occupant class. So now we have there are two other competitors, App State and 35 Minnesota. So in addition to the miles and the person miles, the multi-occupant cars at Formula Sun Grand Prix are also judged, scored based on how much external power they use, and based on how much external power they use, and whether they maintain the required average speed of 30 miles an hour. They must have an average speed of 30 miles per hour or greater the whole time they're on the track. They additionally have a minimum number of laps they have to complete in order to be scored. And that number is, I believe, 135. So now we've got a group of single occupant vehicles. Actually, you're going to see a brand new car here. Montana State has got on the track. Car number 406 is going to be the next car you come through here. And then we have number 17, Illinois State, right on their tail. And a little bit behind them is number 12. Texas A&M will be on your screen momentarily. That's the number 5 Florida car you just saw go across. And they have 2 more cars behind them, including another car you haven't seen on the track yet. So first you're going to see number 32 Principia racing their car raw. All right, we've got the University of California, Berkeley, the CalSol team, number 6, coming around. This is their first year here with this car, Excalibur. They are continuing to gain space on some of their competitors, so doing some pretty fast laps out here. They are another team who has switched classes recently. They built a multi-occupant vehicle in 2019. They raced at Formula Sun Grand Prix 2019. They also took it to the World Solar Challenge in also in 2019, right? Yeah, so they raced that twice that year, but they decided to switch back to a single occupant vehicle for this competition. And there is number 9, Iowa State. They have been doing the multi-occupant vehicle class for a number of years now. Their last car before this was a 4-seater, but they decided to go with a 2-seater this time around. They've had this car for a couple of competitions. The next car we'll see through here momentarily will be number 55, Poly Montreal. This is their second multi-occupant vehicle. You could be forgiven if you thought this was still the same car. From the outside, they look fairly similar, but they've made a lot of improvements and optimizations in order to improve their car and improve their results. There goes number 55, and next up will be App State. And there comes our fourth multi-occupant vehicle through the Sinkhole, number 35, Minnesota. Minnesota was the first American team to switch to the multi-occupant vehicle class. They did that when the World Solar Challenge created their cruiser class, and it was before we actually had a multi-occupant vehicle class here at the American Solar Challenge. So they raced their first multi-occupant vehicle against the single-occupant vehicles at the American Solar Challenge that year. And I believe they placed 8th, which is pretty good for a car that was designed to hold more people and more space. We do have some clouds today, but the sun is out much better than expected. We were expecting some rain, potentially some showers, but it seems like we got that overnight, and it's a great day for the solar cars to be running and racking up those laps. You can see we've got a line of cars coming around the corner at turn 17. Looks like we have Florida Poly followed by Florida. All right, so now entering the Sinkhole, you're going to see Florida Poly. The University of Florida, who was behind them, has decided to enter the pit. So here comes Florida Poly. And next up will be the Ohio State car, number 614, followed by number 12, Texas A&M. Behind that, we have number 406, a Montana State car. This is their first competition, and they got through dynamics yesterday. I'll have number 92 ETS. This is their car Eclipse 11. They took this car to the World Solar Challenge last fall. And next up is 21 Virginia Tech. All right, coming through the sinkhole again. Now we have number 6, University of California, Berkeley. Not sure if it's coming through on camera, but you can hear the cars powering through that uphill back there. Now we have number 32 from Principia College. And number 9 from Iowa State. It's been pretty uneventful morning on the track this morning. Our corner workers haven't had much work to do, but it's still important that they are sitting here and radioing in any conditions on the track. It's their job to watch for any issues on the track, be that a broken down solar car, something blowing onto the track, debris on the track, anything like that. They also watch for potential infractions by the drivers. For example, the sinkhole is a no passing zone, so if anyone were to pass here, that would get radioed in by the corner worker and reported to the timing headquarters for them to handle. Additionally, we require passing vehicles to honk as they're passing, so they'll be listening for that to make sure cars are doing that. If a car's horn is not working, we may ask them on the next time on the front straight to honk their horn so we can make sure it is in fact working. If it's not working, they will be black flagged at corner 18, and black flag means you must enter the pit. So we just saw App State go by, and we have the number 35 Minnesota MOV coming right behind. So we have a question about how fast the cars are going. So on the track, we have a speed limit of 65 miles an hour. So the cars are not supposed to go faster than that. I don't think anyone's quite hit that, but on the front straight, the cars are going pretty fast. I haven't seen us bring the radar gun out yet, but I believe the fast lap time now is under 5 minutes by Minnesota. It's low 4s. And so if I do some quick math in my head, that means they are averaging almost 40 miles an hour. You can see the speeds that they're doing back here in the sinkhole in the no passing zone. And so compared to the front straights, I would expect that they're probably getting up close to 50 miles per hour on their faster laps. I have another question about the popularity of MOV versus SOV. In terms of registered cars this year, we had 8 multi-occupant vehicles and 24 single-occupant vehicles. So it's still about 3-to-1 single-occupant versus multi-occupant, but that's been increasing in recent years. As I mentioned earlier, both Georgia Tech and MIT have decided to switch. So it seems every year there's 1 or 2 established teams who decide that they are ready to switch over. Generally, if a new team is started and they're asking for advice, asking for input on what to start with, we would always recommend starting with a single occupant vehicle. They just by their nature being smaller cars, you can see the number 17 car passing in front of you. It's a single occupant and one of the smaller single occupant vehicles out here. Just by the nature of being a smaller car, there's fewer things to design, fewer things to build, and the challenges of doing it for the first time. It's better to bite off the smaller project your first time through. The multi-occupant vehicles also have a lot more to consider in terms of practicality. For the American Solar Challenge, their score will consider the practicality score. They will get judged during display day in Nashville next Friday. 2 days from now, actually. It is Wednesday. And so Designing for practicality means you now, in addition to a car that drives as efficiently as possible, need to balance that with seats that are comfortable, spacious for our judges to get in, space, and the ability to handle suitcases loaded into your trunk. Um, I've seen features such as infotainment systems, cup holders. You need a interface for your drivers that doesn't require training, that any person would get in and feel comfortable using. So those kind of things take a lot of time. The fit and finish of the car can take a lot of time and effort. So I think teams are realizing it's a big project, and it means you need your car built earlier in order to do that fit and finish kind of work than if you're a single occupant vehicle. So it is a big project, but every couple of years we're seeing some of the established teams decide to take the jump and move over there. But this is the most teams we've had registered for a Formula Sun Grand Prix, at least as of the first day of the event, in quite a while. So we're seeing a lot of teams joining the single occupant class almost faster than any teams are switching to the multi-occupant class. All right, now we've got a bit of a line coming through here, and this time you're going to see the University of California, Berkeley at the end of the line, so they seem to have caught back up to the group of cars they were with a little while ago. So first is the University of Virginia. And next up we have number 12, Texas A&M behind them. We have number 92 ETS and number 6 Berkeley coming through the sinkhole. As they're climbing out there on the backside, I can see both ETS and Berkeley trying to pass these other cars. They're both trying to do some quick passes and get some quick lap times in. So both Montana State and Virginia Tech just entered the pit, but we do have number 9 Iowa State coming through. Now we have Florida Poly coming through, and they will be followed by 3 of our MOV teams. Well, actually, first, just from behind the bushes, came the number 32 Principia car. So they are right behind Florida Poly. Number 55, Poly Montreal. Number 828, App State. Snuck in here in the middle of our MOVs is number 614, Ohio State, followed by the University of Minnesota car, number 35. The multi-occupant vehicles are allowed 5 square meters of solar array compared to the 4 for the single occupant cars. So that also contributes to the bigger footprint of the car and the bigger scale of the project. With 25% more solar panel to install on your car requires a bigger car. So we've got a question about American Solar Challenge qualification and what happens in the case of weather preventing teams from meeting the requirements. Uh, the best way to qualify is to get your laps in and meet the explicit requirements. There is a provision for provisional qualification to occur. Provisional qualification would allow teams to start the American Solar Challenge, and should they successfully finish the first stage without trailering their car, they will be granted full qualification for the rest of the event. So provisional qualification is at the discretion of the chief inspector. The chief inspector's job is to, decide in this case that despite the fact that they didn't meet the predefined requirements, their car is roadworthy. And so should we have, I know there are some scattered thunderstorms in the forecast, so should we have lightning closing the track, or we get heavier cloud cover preventing teams from having enough power to actually drive the required laps, then the chief inspector will look at their performance on the track when they're allowed to be on the track and when the sun was out, and determine if that was enough to grant them provisional qualification. So, if they get fairly close and then there's lightning and the track closes, they have fairly good odds that they'll be granted that. So those conversations will start happening if the weather does start rolling in, but so far it's been holding off today. But we'll see what this afternoon brings. I see the chance of precipitation goes up over the next couple of hours. The track will not close for rain. Teams are good to run in rain. They need to be good to run in rain in case we encounter rain on the American Solar Challenge, because that does not stop for rain either. Especially for the teams who are not out here yet and should have a full battery, they should be out here in the rain today as soon as they get cleared. They will want to see that. Teams deciding not to come on the track because of rain will probably not inspire the level of confidence in their car to get provisional qualification. So there goes the number 6 car, University of California, Berkeley. They have put some space between themselves and the cars they were with last time around. So I don't have the lap times up right now, but my guess is that they are doing the fastest laps on the track right now. You can find live lap counts on our website. Those are updated by the electronic timing system here at the track, which is mostly working. I know yesterday it occasionally missed a lap or two from some of the cars, but for the most part that should be very close to correct in terms of the raw number of laps completed. At the end of the day, there are potential penalties or other adjustments due to pushing or towing that happen during breakdowns that get put in before the results are official. So we got a good number of cars coming through. You just saw number 92 ETS and number 9 Iowa State right now. Coming around the corner, will be in frame shortly. We have 828 App State, followed by 55 Poly Montreal, and behind them is number 5 Florida. If you looked at the results on the website this morning, you may have seen that a number of teams had all of their laps wiped out by penalties yesterday. This was a deliberate decision from these teams. They did, maybe 12 laps yesterday, and they decided they wanted to charge their battery up to full from the wall in order to attempt to qualify for the American Solar Challenge today. The requirement is 66 laps in one day or 98 over 2 days. So if you didn't do at least the 32 miles difference, your quickest way to qualify is 66 in one day. And so they wanted to put themselves in a position to do that today. So they took the penalty to reduce all their laps back to zero by charging from the wall and get on the track today. So we just saw number 35 Minnesota go by, and next up will be number 12 Texas A&M in a few minutes. They were one of the teams who decided to wipe out all of their laps and charge from the wall to have a full pack to go for ASC qualification today. They looked at the weather over the next few days in their position and decided their best bet was going to be to go for 66 laps today, and they put themselves in the best position to do that by having a full battery for the day. All right, so here comes the number 12 car. And we got a couple more cars coming slowly around the corner. We have number 32 Principia. I believe they are probably still in second position in the SOV class following ETS. But it looks like Calsol is really pushing for those laps today to try to get in the hunt. But Principia got on the track yesterday, so they have a good lead over most of the other cars who didn't get on till the afternoon or this morning. So our next car, UVA, number 87, has decided to enter the pit. We'll get you a few more cars here. I think we're going to call it for the end of the stream here in 5 to 10 minutes. It is pretty sunny right now, but we're going to make sure we get this whole setup torn down before any rain that I see coming in the forecast here in the end of this hour. And we got to get picked up by our rescue vans, and they are going to be busy swapping out corner workers in about half an hour. So we got to get that done first. But we do have a number of cars to bring you now. We have number 17 Illinois State coming through. They are right through the sinkhole. No problem for that car. They've been racing that car for a few years now. It always does well on the track. It handles well. It's a zippy little car. And so here comes Florida Poly, followed by Ohio State. All right, here comes Calsol again. They put quite a distance behind them, so it'll be maybe a couple of minutes before we see another car. They are really flying out here on their laps. We got a question about our favorite looking car at the event. A hard question to answer. There's a lot of good looking cars out here. The ones you saw on the track the first day, the teams that are most prepared and have time to actually work on the look and finish of their car tend to make the prettiest looking cars. If we look at the build on the inside of their car, the team from ETS always does really good handiwork on their car, putting it together. The inside of their car always looks very, very, very well done. So that's a good looking car. You're about to see App State come by with a brand new wrap on their car this year. So have Florida right behind them with their gator teeth, and Poly Montreal behind that. And next up, you'll see the ETS car. And behind number 92 ETS, we will have our other MOVs here, number 9 Iowa State and number 35 Minnesota. In terms of cars I enjoy seeing on the track, it's also fun to see the number 12 Texas A&M car on the track as they started their team. Another strategy that a number of teams take to get started is getting a chassis donated from a team, and so Texas A&M is actually racing the car I helped to build when I was in school, which got donated to them as they were starting their team. So it's fun for me to see that out there. They obviously did a lot of work on it. They didn't get a complete car, they got the chassis. So they replaced the roll cage, put all their own electronics on the car, and did a lot of work to get it back into racing condition. But it's a lot of fun to see it out there driving. It's a car I got to drive on the track when I was in school. All right, we're going to wait till this next group of cars comes around here, and then we are going to have to head out. We are at the mercy of the rescue van schedule in terms of getting in and out of here. They have a lot of responsibilities, and the media team is on the bottom of that list. They've got corner workers to relieve and new ones to bring out. They got to go out if there's any breakdowns on the car, of a car on the track, so a team can either fix their car really quick on the side of the track, maybe a flat tire, they could do a tire change, or they may need to tow their car into the pit. I haven't seen any cars towed yet today. We had a couple yesterday. So today seems to be going quite well for all of the teams. We'll hope it continues that way. Hoping we get at least a couple more cars around here before we head out. I can see a line of them making their way around here, so we'll see them head through, and then we got to start cleaning up. We will be back with more live streams. I don't quite have a schedule. We're trying to bring these when we know there's lots of cars on the track. So we got this set up pretty quick once we saw there were a good dozen cars out on the track. A couple of them left before we got this started, but we'll hopefully we'll see them back out here today, and we will try to come to you live tomorrow at some point. We'll get it scheduled with as much heads up as we can. I'll do some intelligence gathering today to figure out when the teams are going to be on the track and who's ready to go on the track. So we have Illinois State coming through here, and then we got quite a line in the back. We're actually going to see one more car that we haven't seen yet before we end. So I'm glad we're going to get to see them out on the track before we have to end the stream. We'll also be coming to you live from as much of the American Solar Challenge as possible. You will definitely find the start line and the finish line, and we will let you know when you can find us in between that. So in the meantime, the track has live streams. Oh man, we were going to see the Purdue car, but they went into the pit. So they did one lap, but they exited into the pit. So I guess we won't quite see them on camera. So that is Texas A&M and Principia going through. We will see Calsel, who's caught back up to them in just a second. But as I was mentioning, you can head to the FSGP 2024 live page on our website, and that will get you live video of the front straight provided by NCM Motorsports Park. That will go all the way to the end of our day today, and it will cover our whole day tomorrow. You can also keep up on our Instagram page. We are posting videos and photos throughout the day. So we will try to get you some video of that Purdue car on the track since we just missed them here on the live stream. And we'll get you video or photos of any of the other cars that make it out on the track. From what I'm hearing, the Illinois car is fairly close to getting out on the track. Sounds like they just have to go get one little thing finished up at the Lights and Vision station, and then they should be out here. In addition to Instagram, you can also find us on Facebook. We are at American Solar Challenge on both platforms. So I am told our ride should be here in just a couple minutes. So we are going to call it here after we see these next 3 cars through the pit, or through the sinkhole, and hopefully they don't go to the pit so we can actually see them on camera. So we're going to see App State, number 828, still running with 2 passengers. So that means they're getting 6.3 person miles for every 3.15 mile lap. Right behind them is Florida. And then we have Poly Montreal also running with both seats full, two passengers in the car. And we do actually have a bigger line than 3 here. So we're going to see, nope, we're not going to see Minnesota. Minnesota's heading into the pit, maybe for a driver swap here. They've been out for a while with the same passenger and the same driver. I think all our MOVs are running here with both seats full and 2 passengers. We'll see. Iowa State's coming around the corner. I'll look inside and we can verify that. That should mean they're all getting that 2 laps worth of person miles per lap. So actually Florida Poly and Iowa State with their 2 passengers heading into the pit. So we'll see ETS come in front of the camera. And just behind them is Ohio State, and that will be the last car we see here. Should they? Yep, they are going to actually come through the sinkhole here. Ohio State's another team that restarted by getting a donated chassis. So they are here racing an old Western Michigan car with lots of improvements and changes to get it roadworthy for this year. We'll actually see one more car here. Virginia Tech just came out from behind the bushes here. So here's the 21 Virginia Tech car. So we are going to call it at this point. I may have actually lost the video here a second ago. Sorry about that. We are going to get packed up. Thank you for joining us, and keep an eye on Facebook and Instagram, as well as subscribe on YouTube for details on when we are going to go live again.